Video 2 of 3 videos explaining a little bit about my book Enjoying Equal House and the issues that arose that caused me to even write the flipping thing to start with. Now, one of the questions that gets asked a lot about any house system is what happens if you have a planet that is very near to one of the house lines. So in this video, I'm going to be using the same chart that I've used in my book, Enjoying Equal House, by one of the oldest astrological house systems. Is so easy to use. It's a terribly long title, but the short title to it is Enjoying Equal House. You can find it by just Googling that. But I've put all of that in there because I want everybody that reads it to understand that it is an easier system to use. Oh yes, it's not as sophisticated. Oh yes, it's not as complex, but it doesn't have to be complex to do astrology. So here we have Queen Elizabeth II. Her chart starts 21 degrees and 23 minutes, and the exactness of that is 21 degrees Capricorn, 22 minutes and 45 seconds into the sign of Capricorn. And these are her house lines all around here. So that's the lines of her houses. These are her planets. And oh my goodness, she's got 1, 2, 3, 4 planets very near to the house lines. And then you're going to ask me the question, and this is what happens in some astrological computer programs, that if you have a planet very near to a house line, it'll interpret the planet in the next house. Why would you want to do that? So what I like to use as an example is, you'll see there's a piano behind me. Let me do it that way round. There's a piano. It's the piano behind me. The piano is actually right next door to the wall in my office, which is in the front room of my house. Now on the other side of the door is the hall of our house, and the piano is parallel to the hall, but the piano is in my office. It isn't in the hall behind me because it's in it. It's not out of it. And this is the same thing with the house system. This Mars that our Queenie, sorry, she's in heaven now, the Queen had, the second Queen, or the second Elizabeth, that is, because we've got a king now. Her Mars is 52 minutes, so it's still going to be in her first house. It's not going to get to be into her second house, assuming it was, until it's 21 degrees and at least 23 minutes. So that's why in Equal House, if a planet's in a house, it's in a house, it's in a house. It doesn't matter that it's on the border of the house. It doesn't matter that it's near to the border of the house. It's in the house that the numbers will tell you it's in. And it's no good trying to interpret it in Equal House system. You can use another system if you like. It's no good interpreting that as being in a second house, because it wasn't. Because in the Queen's case, we know that her ascendant is exact because we have an exact time of birth for her, 2:40 a.m. If you're born in England, it's very unlikely that you have an accurate birth time because it's not written on your birth certificate. So an awful lot of UK astrologers spend their time estimating people's houses and descendants and stuff. With the Queen, we know that is the exact time that she was born, give or take maybe 5 or 10 minutes here or there. So her Mars is definitely in her first house, and her Jupiter, which is 22 degrees and 31 minutes, whilst don't forget her ascendant is 21 degrees, her Jupiter is 22 degrees, it's in her second house, even though both planets are conjunct to each other and both planets are in the sign of Aquarius. As far as house interpretation goes, it's whichever house, whatever planet falls into, interpret it for that house. So the other one she's got is her Neptune, is 22 degrees and 2 minutes and 6 seconds. And we know that ascendant is 21 degrees, so each house is going to be 21 degrees. So her 8th house starts in the sign of Leo at 21 degrees. So her Neptune most definitely is in her 8th house at 22 degrees. So we'll interpret Neptune in the sign of Leo in the 8th house. The 8th house is about sex, birth, death, reincarnation, and the wonderful world on the other side. And Neptune's the psychic planet, is going retrograde. It's in the sign of Leo. I expect she liked to think that she had some sort of psychic ability. I don't know, I've never met her, I couldn't tell you. Saturn is 24 degrees, and that's a few degrees into her 11th house, which would have started at 21 degrees. The only other thing I want to mention, which isn't particularly mentioned in the book, but the houses and the numbers and the degrees and all the rest of it, is her sun sign is 0 degrees Taurus, so she was born in the sign of Taurus. It doesn't matter that it's 0 degrees, it's still in the sign of Taurus, because once again we're using maths, and if we're going to say that maths is a thing, then we need to make sure that we're sticking to what maths is. So if we're saying that Taurus starts at a certain date and time, and the person's chart starts at 0 degrees Taurus, 12 minutes and 21 seconds, she's a Taurus. And so don't tell me any of that about the fact that she's born on a cusp, because there's no such thing. You're either in the sign or you're out the sign. You're either in my front room as the piano or you're in my hall. There's no difference there. So I hope that explains a teeny bit about planets on lines in houses. You've got to use the maths, and it's all done for you. The computer program will do it for you. You don't have to give yourself a headache. When you're glancing at a chart, it might look as if a planet's in a different house. Go check your numbers. If your numbers are correct, your houses will be correct and your planets will be correct, and you'll be making a correct interpretation. I hope that helps.